Cahill performing Playdate. This performance is on January 23rd at 4 p.m. at 5th and B Streets, Point Reyes Station. Tickets are $15 for general admission, $13 for seniors, and $5 for teens and kids. For more information, call 415-663-1075 or visit www.dancepalace.org. Join the Ecology Center as it holds its annual member meeting on January 26th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Ecology Center at 2530 San Pablo Avenue in Berkeley. Exquisite vegetarian cuisine prepared by Lucy Agajan and entertainment by Mercury Dimes Trio will be provided. $10 donation is requested. For more information, call 510-548-2220, extension 235, or email info@ecologycenter.org. Intersection Spring 2005 Literary Series is hosting an evening with a reading by Al Young. The reading is on January 25th, 7:30 p.m. at Intersection for the Arts, located on 446 Valencia, Mission District, San Francisco. Admission is $5 to $10 sliding scale. For more information, call 415-626-2787 or visit www.theintersection.org. The community calendar is produced by members of the KPFA Apprenticeship Program. Send your listings at least 3 weeks in advance to KPFA, Box 51, 1929, Martin Luther King Jr. Way in Berkeley, California, 94704, or fax them to 510-848-3812. Attention to the community calendar. Tell us if your event is wheelchair accessible. To hear this calendar again, call 510-848-6767, extension 621. The community calendar is also available online at www.kpfa.org.
You're listening to KPFA in Berkeley or KFCF in Fresno or on the web at kpfa.org. It's 7 o'clock. Stay tuned for Full Circle.
From the circle, yes, we rotate. Full circle, yes, we rotate. 360 degrees, ha ha. 360 degrees, ha ha. 360 degrees, ha ha.
A circle has infinite possibilities. The circle is fluid, flowing, ever growing.
Because when we teach, we learn.
We are all equal parts of the same circle.
The end is a new beginning.
Now more than ever, we need to come together.
The circle is all of us.
Welcome to Full Circle. Tonight we'll honor the Civil Rights Movement.
Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy lives on.
And remember the life of Shirley Chisholm.
Also, one woman remembers growing up during the 60s.
And what does the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. mean to youth today?
And finally, we honor our current day freedom fighters.
We're your hosts, your brown sister,
and Mia. Stay tuned. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15, 1929. The son of a pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, King was ordained in 1947 and in 1954 became the minister of a Baptist church in Montgomery, Alabama. One of the most well-known civil rights leaders of our time, Dr. King fought against segregation with a philosophy of nonviolent resistance. King became acquainted with Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent social protest, and in 1959, King met with followers of Gandhi. It was at this time he became more convinced than ever that nonviolent resistance was the most potent weapon available to oppressed people in their struggle for freedom. He was a strong opponent of the Vietnam War and was arrested on numerous occasions in the 50s and 60s for nonviolent direct action. The protest he led in Birmingham, Alabama in 1963 brought him worldwide attention, as did his involvement in the August 1963 March on Washington, which brought together more than 200,000 people. In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. On April 4, 1968, at the age of 39, King was shot by James Earl Ray while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. His unwavering stance of nonviolent direct action and equality for all lives on. Coming up next, the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., mixed by Davey D of Hard Knock Radio. This segment starts with a clip from a vintage newscaster's voice.
Profiles in Black. America's Negro pioneers, past and present.
I have a dream this afternoon that the brotherhood of man will become a reality in this day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing with the Negroes in the spiritual of all. Free at last, free at last, thank God.
More than 250,000 persons, 60,000 of them white, were gathered before the Lincoln Monument that day in August 1963 when Dr. Martin Luther King made his dramatic speech, I Have a Dream. A third-generation Baptist minister, King inherited a tradition of protest from his grandfather and his father, both leading Atlanta pastors. After graduating from Morehouse College and getting his Doctor of Philosophy degree from Boston University, Dr. King began preaching at Dexter Avenue Church in Montgomery, Alabama. His leadership of the Montgomery bus boycott changed isolated protest against racial injustice into organized mass movements that swept the country. Winner of the Nobel Peace Prize for his dramatic use of nonviolence until his assassination in Memphis in April 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King spoke for the conscience of the United States.
And now, my friends, let the trumpets sound, let the bells ring, let the drums roll. Lay out the red carpet. Here he comes, America's beloved freedom fighter, Martin Luther King.
America is essentially a dream. It is a dream of a land where men of all races, of all nationalities, and of all creeds can live together as brothers. The substance of the dream is expressed in these profound words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. First things we notice in this dream is its amazing universalism. It does not say some men, but it says all men. It doesn't say some, it doesn't say all white men, but it says all men, which includes black men. It doesn't say all Gentiles, but it says all men, which includes Jews. Doesn't say all Protestants, but it says all men, which includes Catholics. That is something else that we notice our form of government with other totalitarian systems. It says that there are certain basic rights that are neither conferred by nor derived from the state. In order to discover where they came from, it is necessary to move back behind the dim mist of eternity. They are God-given. Very seldom, if ever, the history of the world has a socio-political document expressed in such profound, eloquent, and unequivocal language the dignity and the worth of human personality. For the American dream reminds us that every man is the heir of a legacy of dignity. Yet ever since the founding fathers of our nation dreamed this dream, America has been, to use a big word that the psychologists and the psychiatrists use, a schizophrenic personality. Tragically defined. On the one hand, she has proudly professed the noble principles of democracy, and on the other hand, she has proudly practiced, or she has sadly practiced, the very opposite of those principles. Indeed, slavery and segregation have always been strange paradoxes in a nation founded on the principle that all men are created equal. So often, America has trampled over the dream. So often, America has scarred this noble dream. We look and see certain states saying they will never comply with the law of the land. In doing this, America is scarring the dream. We notice people who merely want to be free being brutalized, homes being bombed, churches being bombed. This is a way of scarring the American dream. We notice people who merely want to exercise their citizenship rights being thrown into jail. This is a way of scarring the dream. We can hear the voice of a little Emmett Till crying from the rushing waters of Mississippi. This is a way of scarring the dream. So the Negro is still trampled over by the iron feet of oppression. So often he has been pushed out of the glittering sunlight of life's July and left standing in the piercing chill of an alpine November. This is scarring the American dream. May I say to you, as has been said so eloquently all the afternoon, this dream is being scarred not only in Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana and all of the southern states, but it is being scarred in New York, in Illinois, in Pennsylvania, and I imagine even in California. The fact is that the Negro all over America is still the last hired and the first fired, and he still can't live where he wants to live and where his money can get him to live. Today, more than ever before, America is challenged to bring this noble dream into reality. For the shape of the world today does not afford us the luxury of an anemic democracy. The price that the United States must pay for the continued exploitation of the Negro and other minority groups is the price of its own destruction. wondering what we're doing about this problem. Looking over from Asia and Africa. For years, most of these people have been dominated politically, exploited economically, segregated and humiliated by some foreign power. Today, they are gaining their independence. More than 1,600,000,000 of the former 1,800,000,000 colonial subjects have their independence today. And they are saying in no uncertain terms that racism and colonialism must go. The hour is late. The clock of destiny is ticking out. We must act now before it is too late. It is trite but urgently true that if America is to remain a first-class nation, she can no longer have second-class citizens. I must hasten to say that we must not solve this problem merely to meet the communist challenge. We must not seek to solve this problem merely to appeal to Asian and African people. This problem must be solved in the United States because segregation and discrimination are morally wrong. Must be solved because segregation relegates persons to the status of things and stands against all of the noble principles of our Judeo-Christian heritage. It must be solved not merely because it is diplomatically expedient, but because it is morally compelling. This must be said all over the world. This is a visit. Plan the visit. This is a visit. Plan the visit. This is a visit. Plan the visit. You have to visit.
Coming from a heritage of slavery, for many, many years, African Americans in the United States were considered inferior. With his eloquence and compassion, Martin Luther King Jr. changed that notion and led a movement that has brought a wider understanding of the universal humanity of people of every color. In the next segment, we share some of the personal perspectives of Dr. Madeline Peterson. Dr. Peterson tells of her experiences at the beginning of the movements led by Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King helped to inspire her to continue on her path of service to the community. Dr. Peterson is currently the pastor at Angels of Praise Community Church in Antioch, California, and she hosts her own gospel program that can be seen in many venues throughout the country.
Myself being from California, born and raised in San Francisco, I wasn't quite accustomed to the segregational rules until we visited another state. We went south, and at that particular time they had a restaurant, to which was amazing to me. They said they didn't serve colored people. They had a water fountain that was outside that said for colored and for white. And see, I thought it was a joke. When I had the privilege to go there, it was amazing to me because in California, we didn't see quite the segregational portion. But then as time progressed and I became of age, because when the time of Dr. King, when we heard that I had a dream speech, he came to Macedonia Church, to where I was growing up at, and I had the privilege to be in his midst and to hear what was happening down south. My parents and my grandparents and our church members shipped shoes and clothes and things to the people down south when they were marching and they were walking instead of catching the bus. Reverend Bedford was our spearhead here in California, and he went to the homes, and at that time it was like, if in our neighborhood, if somebody got burned out, they all worked together to help one another. So we had kind of a unity. Like they said, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I had that experience because if I got into trouble, it didn't matter what neighborhood I was passing through. If somebody knew your parents, they were subject to whip you and send you home. What Dr. King did for me was he opened up an avenue that gave me a greater insight on education, Because like when Dr. King did the march and things started turning around as a young person, they started the EOC, Equal Opportunity for black students in California, to get summer jobs. And to go from the summer jobs, they gave us great summer jobs. Whereas when my older family members were getting jobs, they were getting maids and butters, and I call them toilet cleaners. Whereas when I came along, they were putting us in offices. They were making us the tokens in the community. They allowed us the opportunity to make first a lot of steps towards what we're doing today. You know, to be like pioneers for our community. Because a lot of our foreparents didn't have the education that most of us that in my generation have. And it came forth because of Dr. King's effort. When you think about Selma and those children getting blowed up in a Sunday school meeting, and think about how they turned on hoses in Alabama down that way. But in California, they turned hoses on out here because we had many civil rights marches. I have to admit I was militant, black and proud, and I'm still that, because I realized my heritage that we had to stand for. I remember when I decided to go afro, and even though my hair is curly, but I decided to wear an afro. And my dad said, "You can't go out like that." And I said, "Dad, this is the new me. It's got to stand in our house because we're black and we're proud. We're not ashamed of who we are, and we had to make a stand here in California, in San Francisco, California." And while we were standing in San Francisco, my peers were standing in Oakland, Berkeley, all around this beautiful Bay Area, and we would come together in unity. And it was just something that broke forth that helped us to mend together. Today, it's a sad thing because a lot of our youth are killing each other, whereas with our generation, it was helping each other. Yes, we did have fights. Yes, we did have bats, chains, and balls. We had bottles, but we didn't have guns. We didn't go out and deliberately shoot up a neighborhood. We didn't deliberately go in and break in our neighbors' houses. Yes, there were some thieves in our community. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not like it is today. Today's society, Dr. King would probably roll over if he could see how our young people who had fought so hard to get an education are giving up their educational rights because they're sloping. They're into drugs. They're into more alcohol than ever before in history. They're into this thing of self-denial, whereas our young people need to know that your forefathers planned a life for you, because many of your grandparents and great-grandparents never had an opportunity to even get past the second grade, let alone high school or college, or make something of themselves. And I applaud Dr. King's efforts because they're still being manifested, even though today our schools are reversing and trying to demean our kids again. But parents, it's your fault, because if you're not pushing your children through, Dr. King's dream was that we would grow up together and live in a community as we can share. Yes, we were able to do that. We're able to buy homes in some places still are not segregated, even today, 2005. There are still those neighborhoods that will try to run you out. But you know what? Our efforts are still overturning. We're still advancing, and you can't keep us down.
Faces change the station. Tragedy will find you if it wants to. So I recommend you hang tough with your friends. Let the family extend. Let it guide you. Let you fly. Let you fly. Let you fly. On our way, yeah. You don't want to miss this ride, yeah. You don't want to miss this ride.
That was Shelley Doty off her new CD, Over the Line.
Full Circle tonight is remembering the heroes from the Civil Rights Movement. On January 1st, 2005, politician, educator, and equal rights activist Shirley Chisholm died at the age of 81. Shirley Chisholm was a defender of women's rights, the poor, and an outspoken critic of the Vietnam War. In 1968, she became the first African-American woman elected to Congress. In 1969, she, along with others, founded the National Black Caucus. In 1972, Chisholm announced her candidacy for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination and received 152 delegate votes, but ultimately lost the nomination to South Dakota Senator George McGovern. Among the volunteers who were inspired by her campaign was Barbara Lee, who would go on to become a congresswoman some 30 years later. Shirley Chisholm encouraged African-American young people, especially women, to get involved in politics. Her legacy lives on, and tonight we will honor her. The following is a speech that Shirley Chisholm delivered in Los Angeles in 1972, addressing her run for candidacy.
A woman must have self-confidence. A woman must know that she has ability, intelligence, and capacity for leadership. A woman must know that she must be made up in such a way that in spite of the insults, the misunderstandings, the slurs, that she will be able to carry on because she's focused on something that's bigger than the pettiness and the jealousies and the rivalries that will surround her if she's assertive. A woman must know that there are people that she can turn to help her in times of distress when the going gets too rough that sometimes she wonders whether or not she can carry on. But she will be able to carry on because she knows there's so many people out there saying, we are with you, it's rough, but go on. I think it's important to recognize that women, in terms of entering the political arena, must be very strong kinds of individuals. And I say to you that I really mean when I come here before you today that the hour has now arrived in our country that there is a need for strong women running for political offices in America. And it is not to say that I am against men. But whoever said that political offices in this country, even the presidency of the United States of America, should be the exclusive domain of only one segment of the society? It would be wonderful to see some other kinds of persons being president of this country. We have left the presidency of this country in the hands of a particular segment ever since the inception of the Republic. And look at where we are today. So maybe it is time for a change. Maybe, believe it or not, it is time to have a black woman to save the nation. As I've said to many persons, I'm so terribly sorry that I cannot put on a show for you because I do not have the monies to have all of the advanced men preceding me. I do not have the monies to have the buses ready to get the school children to come when I come to town to give the illusion that everybody's going with me. The only thing I have to give to you, the people, is my heart and little old me. I say to you this afternoon that I never would have initiated my candidacy because I'm cognizant of the fact that I'm a part of two segments of America that has never participated in the decision-making processes. I'm black and I'm a woman. But I tell you, people in this country crossing color lines and sex lines as a result of watching me on the national scene for the past 3 years, asking me to make a serious bid for the presidency of this country. And my saying to these people, I will not be taken in by rhetoric or flattery, but you must return to your respective states and begin to get the foot soldiers and the fundraising events, and then I'll know that you mean it. Within 6 weeks, I knew that I had to make a decision. I knew I had to make a decision as to whether or not I would accept the challenge, and I did. I decided that I'm going to run for the presidency of this country. For the first time, you will see at that convention a proportionate number of black people who have been fighting constantly as they came from the southern states, just in order to walk in the door of a convention room to see what's going on, not even to participate, but just to see. They've never been able to do that. Now they will be coming in from Mississippi and Georgia and Alabama proportionately. And just to see women there also proportionately to their numbers in the various states, and to see the young people coming from. For the first time in the history of the Republic, we will see a convention that is representative of the segments that make up America, and not a convention that's peopled only by 52-year-old men. We have heard a great deal about the espousal of equalitarian principles and the granting of opportunities to peoples. We have talked about the fact that our nation is a bulwark of democracy. We have talked about the brotherhood of man, but we have not suited the actions to the word. And now here at this convention, to see women and young people and black people, see a cross-section of America. This is, then, the real beginning of the implementation of the American dream on its highest level. And even if we, you and I, are not able to win the nomination for the first time in the history of this country, how beautiful it would be if we could go with the delegates. And that's what I've been doing for the past 7 months, hunting delegates. If we can go to that convention and be in a position of staying right where we are, without running to the doors of all of these other persons, begging them to give us some crumbs while they eat up the banquet. For the first time, the process can be reversed in terms of the fact that the delegates that we will have taken from all over this country, they will have to come to us to get what they need. And when they come to us to get what they need, if you understand P-O-W-E-R, you would not just go around saying, I'm not going to give my vote to Shirley Chisholm because she can't be president. You will say, rather, I'm giving my vote to Shirley Chisholm because she's a part of the coalition of forces that have never had any input in who is going to be chief executive. And then when she has all of those delegates, If they want to get across the top, we can be strong. And we can say, yes, we will give you the delegates you need. But before you get them, a black man for vice president of this country, we will get it. Hopefully in an easy kind of way instead of some of what's been going on. A woman for the head of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. We need a woman in that position. And, yes, an Indian for the head of the Department of Interior. Why should not our government on its highest level be reflective of all of the segments that make up America? For too long, America has been the exclusive domain of only one segment in America. That's why there are so many people in this country today that feel that the reality of the American dream can never come in their lifetime. I extend my arm to you in terms of telling you that together, in a bloodless revolution, if you will, it can happen. It can happen. Someone has said, Mrs. Chisholm, what you are doing, you are saying that you would select people in your cabinet or asking people to select people in their cabinet on the basis of sex and race. That's what you would be doing. And my answer to them is this. You insult all of the other segments of America and you put a question like that. Are you saying there are no educated Indians? Are you saying there are no educated black men? Are you saying there are no educated women, that only white males can dominate and control everything? Are you saying that? Answer me yes or no. The fact of the matter is that traditionally in this country, we have been led into believing that only this one segment who controls the corporate boardrooms, the educational institutions, we have been led to believe, at least by actions, that this particular segment is the only segment that should be holding all the important kinds of positions in America. This is wrong. It's time to break it. It's time to say, America, if we talk about the American dream, all persons in America begin to feel that they can move in to those kinds of positions.
Human beings want to be happy. We have a need not just to live, but to thrive. At the most basic level, we need food and water for sustenance and shelter from the elements. And even though it may not seem like it when you watch television, we all really do want peace in our lives. We want a sense of purpose and belonging. To put it simply, we each want to feel satisfied with who we are and what we have. We all want good lives.
Off the Being Black compilation CD. You're listening to Full Circle. I'm Mia, here with Brown Sister, and tonight we're honoring the Civil Rights Movement.
The height of the Civil Rights Movement was in the mid-'60s, over 40 years ago.
How much do today's youth know about the King legacy? Is his birthday observance just a holiday or another page in history books without relevance?
We got some feedback from some 12th grade students at Berkeley High School.
Dr. King's legacy means to me like the importance of knowing who you are and striving for change.
He was really trying to get the point across that we are human beings and that we shouldn't be treated like anything less than that.
So a lot of rights that we didn't have, a lot of things that we couldn't do, we can do now because of him. and people like him.
I know that he went through a lot more than I have, so I know that anything's possible.
He was one of the leaders in the civil rights movement. He paved the way for other strong black leaders.
Do you feel like his dream has been fulfilled?
Not completely, but it's getting there. I think it's getting closer and closer to being fulfilled.
Like, he saw this whole future, and I think that we could be doing a lot more than we're doing right now. But I think that we've made a lot of progress since then.
We say that that's how it is. Like, we have things that are like racism and all that stuff, but it's not so much on the street. Someone's calling you something, or you can't eat at a certain place that someone else can eat at. It's more so like you don't really have the same opportunity when it comes to what you want to do with your life.
And on the surface, things look fine. Like, oh, we should be excelling. We should be, doing very well in every aspect, just like everybody else. But we're not, just from the simple fact that we don't have self-knowledge, and no one else has knowledge about us either.
We don't get as much attention from our non-African American teachers as maybe the Caucasian students do.
From grade 1 or grade K, we learn about the history of every other culture except for our own.
It's not like we can't teach black people what they need to know. It's not like we can't teach everyone the correct curriculum that would all help them succeed. It's that we choose not to. That's what I think. It's harder for you to get into certain schools when you want to get a job. It's not even so much that it's harder. It's that people don't expect you to do so well, so then you have to do so much more just to prove that you can do the minimum.
I think that a lot more blacks need to realize their potential and realize who they are and know their history, because without that, we're lost.
They need to know why we're here, how we got here, and the greatness of our past, because we're wonderful people. We just don't know it.
If they see fellow students doing well and achieving high and doing their work and doing what they can do, it makes other students want to.
It really comes down to the black people that are in the media that influence us the most should, step up to the plate and help out the cause, because, we really need some type of strong leader, or just leaders in general.
Like I said, lead by example. Black people are capable of a lot of stuff, and we need to let the world know that.
Black is beautiful, and know your history.
Just get up and do what you need to do, black people.
Okay, you got any closing comments you want to make?
Rest in peace. We love you.
When thinking of the heroes who have passed on, like Martin Luther King, Shirley Chisholm, Malcolm X, and others, we must also honor our modern-day civil rights leaders of the time. Yuri Kochiyama has been a champion of civil rights for over 40 years. She has worked to build alliances between diverse cultural groups through her commitment to social justice. She has protested racial inequality and supported political prisoners in the United States and around the world. She has worked for equity in education, voicing the importance of ethnic studies, workers' rights, and justice for the Japanese Americans incarcerated during World War II. Last year, KPFA honored Yuri Kochiyama and other luminaries working in the movement with a Peace Award. Here's a short excerpt from her acceptance speech.
I feel honored and also humbled to be in this group. I just want to say one quote, and it's a quote by an Indian philosopher, Jayaprakash Narayan. He said, "War is not likely to be abolished by governments. Only the people who have freed themselves from their governments can do it. We must free ourselves first from U.S.'s legacy of war, lies, arrogance, greed, and power. Then we must fight to abolish imperialist wars." Again, thank you, KPFA. Let's stop U.S. wars, U.S. lies, U.S. greed, and U.S. arrogance. Thank you very much.
special thanks to Yuri Kochiyama for her dedication and commitment to the cause for all of these years. Before we wrap up, we bring you the words of a man who continually offers his analysis of current political events against all odds. Mumia Abu-Jamal has been incarcerated for over 25 years. He is a journalist, activist, and civil rights leader of our time. In this next piece, Mumia offers his analysis of the deteriorating public school system.
Oakland's war against school children. Several years ago, the great activist and prison abolitionist, Angela Davis, told me that California prison guards make more money than the state's college professors. I was dumbfounded. But it told me all I needed to know about how the state values its places of repression and devalues places of education. I thought of that conversation when I heard about the latest financial crisis facing the Oakland Unified School District, the state's takeover by an undemocratic entity, and the subsequent threats of cuts, of cutbacks, and the ever-present lure of charter schools. Oakland is far more than the city that gave birth to the Black Panther Party. It is far more than the popular projection of a poor city. Oakland's port is the fourth largest in the world. That port generates some $27 billion annually in trade. It is home to the American President Lines, the fifth largest shipping company in the world. American business powerhouses like the Clorox Company and Rolls-Royce Engine Services call Oakland home. Golden West Financial World Savings is located in Oakland. It has assets of over $68 billion. Its profits in 2003 were over $900 million. Clorox, by the way, did over $4 billion in sales, netting some $320 million profits last year. There's a very good reason why Forbes magazine ranked Oakland as the 8th best city for business in the U.S. It's because Oakland isn't a poor town. Only some people in it are poor. For others, it's a gold mine. So why, in a city so good for business, where billions are made annually, are the schools so fiscally challenged? Why? Oakland teacher Stephen Miller explained why in a recent article when he wrote, Oakland is not a poor city. In fact, its economy is the 20th largest metropolitan economy in the U.S. and the 84th largest in the world. The city's gross metropolitan product for 2001 was $99.46 billion, larger than San Jose, Denver, Pittsburgh, Iowa, Oklahoma, Kansas, Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines. This vast wealth comes from Oakland's port, the country's fourth largest. However, the port has been legally separated from the city government since the days of the Black Panthers, so none of its revenue can be used for schools. Why? It's the law. This same scam of creating artificial legalisms to create artificial crisis is being used across the country. California's economy is the largest in the country and the fifth largest in the world. However, we're told the state is in debt. Under the governor, the state is destroying its community college system, once the best in the world, in the name of fiscal accountability. This fall, 500,000 fewer students will go to college in the state than last year. However, there will be no cuts for the country's largest prison system. That's from Stephen Miller's article, Oakland's Public Schools, published in the newspaper People's Tribune. There's no sane reason why the Oakland Unified School District should be in need. It's like being thirsty, but not allowed to drink from a river nearby. In a truly sane society, schools where the young are taught how to live in tomorrow's world, there should be no need. What we have now is unbridled greed. The corrosive logic of business has been pervading the nation's schools, and the public social service is being managed as just another commodity, and kids are losing. The business interests in this country want nothing public and all things private so that it can be owned and exploited. These interests want nothing less than the extinction of the New Deal, the evisceration of Social Security, the public removed from public schools. That's the objective of the right wing in this country. And under these madcap programs like No Child Left Behind, they're nearing their objective. Every time I hear that lying phrase, I think about the My Lai massacre in Vietnam, where no child was left alive. Martin Luther King Jr., if he were alive today, would be fighting for the children of Oakland, demanding resources from those who have them, the wealthy, downtown. From Death Row, this is Mumia Abu Jamal. These commentaries are produced by Noel Hanrahan for Prison Radio.
Yeah. Greetings. It's me. Check this out. Check it. Testimonials I bring from the many paths, avenues, and concrete blocks I've roamed. Owned by no one but God and my mother. Father long disappeared into time and space, searching for answers that warm the soul and stain the face. Tasting the sweetness of life, running from the feel of death, finding there's no way out of the hallways of life. Discovered the dreams discussed on schoolyards do not exist in a grown world. Dog eat dog, the brutal slaughter, leaving no room for my mother's only begotten daughter. So I battled the weight and unrelenting pressure, asking God to forgive me for praying through the hands, bleeding through to the paper, my infinite passion and pain with no end. Almost succumbed to the darkness, I was saved by the sweetest melodic whispers in my ear, reminders of a life before fear. So all that I have been has been shattered to pieces, enough for you to collect, sift, and color even the bleakest horizon. A soul lays bare for Judgment Day. For living has got to be better than dying, even though dead ends are sometimes the fun away. See, the cuts have healed with time, and the scars are simply undeniable markers of an unforgiving life where the sun always shines, shine, 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 shine. Okay. I'm done. Okay. Alright. I'm done. Done.
Before we sign off, we want to let you know about some of the events that will be happening over the next few days to commemorate Dr. King's birthday.
On Saturday, January 15th, the Bay Area Repertory Theater and Dance Division will present a tribute to Martin Luther King. It starts at 7 p.m. at Malunga Coscalord Center for the Arts, 1428 Alice Street in Oakland. For further information, call 510-238-7219.
On Sunday, January 16th, there's an In the Name of Love celebration at the Calvin Simmons Theater in Oakland, featuring the Oakland Youth Chorus, the Oakland Jazz Choir, LaToya London, and the Gospel Hummingbirds. That's at 7:30 p.m. Call 510-287-8880 for more information.
On Monday, January 17th, the 7th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Celebration presented at the University of Creation Spirituality will feature Dr. Matthew Fox, Reverend Ron Swisher, Julia Butterfly Hill, Nancy Nadell, Kofi Tahimba, and more from 10 a.m. to 12 noon with a luncheon to follow. Taylor Memorial United Methodist Church, 1188 12th Street off Adeline. This is a free event. For more information, call 510-652-5530.
That wraps it up for tonight's show. Full Circle is produced by current and graduate members of the First Voice Apprenticeship Program. Our technical director is Mickey Mays, segment editor is Regita G, and segment producer is Kristen Zimmerman. Contributors to this show include Noelle Hanrahan of the Prison Radio Project, and special thanks to Hard Knock Radio.
If you have any questions, comments, or topics for future shows, write us at 1929 Martin Luther King Jr. Way, Berkeley, California, 94704. Or email us at our email address, fullcircle@kpfa.org. Thank you for listening to Full Circle and staying tuned for La Rinda Bajita. Peace.
In the Name of Love, the 4th annual musical tribute honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at Oakland's Calvin Simmons Theater, Sunday, January 16th, 7:30 p.m. Oakland's only musical tribute to MLK promises to be a soulful celebration in honor of one of the greatest humanitarians of our time, featuring LaToya London from American Idol, the Gospel Hummingbirds, Oakland Youth Chorus, and the Oakland Jazz Choir. In the Name of Love benefits the Oakland Jazz Choir. Visit www.oaklandjazzchoir.com for details. See you January 16th.